Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Botano, with myself, Kate Tracey, alongside Dave Young and Andrew Mount, to look ahead to a plethora of action this Saturday on ITV. We have Lingfield, Ascot, as well as a Brucey bonus jumps race from Haydock in the form of the Swinton Hurdle. But of course, we've got our Oaks trials, our Derby trials as well, and the lads hoping to continue their good form from last week, because of course, Dave kicked things off with More Thunder winning by a short head at 11-4 in the ITV opener, swiftly followed by his nap Crimson Advocate landing the Conqueror Stakes by a nose at 3-1. Dave also advised Flight Plan in the Thirsk Hunt Cup. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to say that name again until next year. However, Dave did tip the winner of that at 8-1 though. It wasn't to be for the boosted nap double, but Andrew did also advise Rumstar, who won the Palace House Stakes at 7-1. Andrew was also close to landing the forecast in the 2,000 guineas, but advised the winner Ruling Court, who went off at 9-2. And then, of course, my nap, it was that split the Godolphin duo. So we did kind of give you the TriCast to close out a very good day for the show. And of course, Desert Flower, the lads were in agreement in terms of the 1,000 guineas for the Botano winning super boost. So lads, very well done. Hopefully to continue this weekend. And we're going to kickstart at Lingfield with the 1:15 Ballisted Oaks Trial Filly Stakes for the 3-year-olds over a mile, 3.5 furlongs. Only 3 horses to go at though. Andrew, disappointing turnout. So at least it helps us narrow the field somewhat.
Yeah, my notes for this race just say pants, exclamation mark. If this were a novice chase at Stratford, it would have been scrapped, and I wouldn't have been disappointed to see this one go by the way. So we've got 3 horses rated 84, 91 and 96. There'll be a few people who are running in handicaps this weekend who wish they'd entered in this, because there's £6,500 prize money for finishing last of the 3 runners. And yeah, the favorite, well, I haven't seen any prices actually, but I assume it's Aidan O'Brien's Giselle who's going to
Botano have it as 1-3 for Giselle, then 9-2 Harpsichord and 7-1 Love Talk with Botano.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of horse you might want to be against were this a deeper race, thinking that you know, she's only won a maiden that went 2-1 on. She was beaten at odds on last time out of the Curragh, albeit on soft ground in Group 3 company. That was on her final start last year. And the Hood goes on for the first time, which is an interesting angle for Aidan O'Brien. I'll have to look up the stats for that, particularly for Frankel Offspring. But yeah, given the ratings, given the way that Aidan O'Brien's been mopping up all the Derby and Oaks trials at Chester this week, as per usual, you'd think she's going to take the beating. So yeah, I'll pin my colours to her mast, but I won't be having a bet in the race. Move on.
Yeah, like you say, pants, exclamation mark. 3-1 on Giselle, though, should take all the beating. But yeah, that first time Hood going on is an interesting angle all the same. Dave, did you have a weigh in?
No, not at all. It was a tricky one because you see the first time Hood, you see that Giselle is the best horse in the race. You get that thing, you know, blokes in the pub would always be like, always back the outsider of 3 in a 3-runner race. Andrew's probably got some stats on that, but
funny enough, I did an article on that a few years ago, but I won't go into it now.
But I just think, like, obviously she's way too short to bet, which is the positive, because it means there is no win in the race. The only way she gets beat if her temperament gets her beat. Like, if you go through her form, she is the best horse on paper and what she's done. Although, you know, the second behind Bedtime Story maybe looked better at the time than it does now, with her sort of flopping a bit after, but she's still a very good horse. I think the Hood factor in here as well, because she will need a bit of a lead. She's almost fluked it a bit because Love Talk has to go from the front, and there's no way they're going to try and settle that horse like tactically to get Giselle beat. So as much as people might think it's going to set up a Harpsichord, I cannot see how Giselle gets beat, but who cares at 1-3?
Yeah, just looking at Frankel's stats with the first time Hood, neither sort of here nor there, but Aidan O'Brien's only had one previously. San Remo won at 4-1 at Dundalk way back in 2017. But yeah, I couldn't really sort of take any strong statistical negatives or positives from the headgear stat.
No, like you say, we can't really judge it either way at this present time, but at least it's given us a bit of insight all the same. Anyway, right, we will leave the Oaks trial there then. Like I say, it's just a pants turnout really, isn't it? But hoping for an impressive display anyway from the current 3-1 on favourite. Right, we're going to switch up to Haydock now for some jumping action in the form of the Swinton Handicap Hurdle, a premier handicap, 4-year-olds and over just shy of 2 miles. 6-1 the field. Our champ heading the way, who we always see in these competitive 2-mile handicap hurdles, don't we? So, Dave, who wins the Swinton?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I did think Gimme 5 last time when I put him up and he won. He drifted, and I was a bit worried that maybe I'd got that horse wrong. He's only gone up a couple of pounds, so you could see him going well again. But this is obviously a much deeper race. He had an uncontested lead last time out, and horses like him and our champ both have very similar running styles, that they both want to be out at the front, which is probably where you want to be at Haydock. But I feel like this might set it up for a fast finisher. Now, the one that was interesting, I thought, at the prizes was Anyharminasking. I think he's a horse that probably could travel handier than they normally allow him to do. They normally hold him up in the rear. Last time he ran at Newcastle, I think it was, he won. It's only a small field. I think there's 5 runners, and he sat in 4th. But from a distance off the front runners, I hope Richie McLennan's watching this and he sits him a bit closer to the pace, because I think if he does, he's got a real chance. He's been running loads over 2.5 miles, but his wins under rules have all come at about 2 miles. They've been 2 at 2 miles 1, and then 1 at 1 mile 7.5 furlongs, so a similar trip to this as well. He's had cheap pieces on a few occasions as well. The first time he had them recently was when he ran at Cheltenham beginning of last year. I think it was over 2.5 when he ran behind Why Not, off of a mark in the mid 130s. Then after that, he was sent off, I think, about 9-1 in a good handicap, where Impostoir won that again over 2.5, but was well beaten that day. Cheap pieces came back on for his run last time, and he's always been a horse that's, I guess, fails to deliver. He's the horse that beat Constitution Hill in a point-to-point, which doesn't sound as good now, does it? Because you wouldn't even think Constitution Hill would win a Swinton if he was running off 120 the way he's been jumping. But he did look last time with those cheap pieces like he turned a bit of a corner. He was smashed in the betting as well. So look, I'm saying an 8-year-old might have turned a bit of a corner. Richie McLennan and John Joe O'Neill Jr., when they've teamed up recently, have got lots of horses that don't win very often to win. He did it with Petit Tonnerre, didn't he, over in Punchestown, when John Joe O'Neill Jr. wasn't so good on him in Aintree. So I think he's got a chance. He's only gone up a couple of pounds as well for that win last time. So he's definitely capable of running the mid 130s. I think he still looks well handicapped. And if Richie McLennan, if you're watching, don't hold him right out the back. Try and put him mid-division, because they'll go fast enough.
Yes, they are going to go super fast, as they always do in the Swinton, don't they? But Anyharminasking 10-1 with Betana at the time of recording. Andrew.
What do you mean, if he's watching? Of course he's watching. Everybody.
Of course he is. Every single person tunes into this from the racing industry.
All those cardinal fellows in the Vatican, they've taken a break from their voting to catch this. That's why the white smoke hasn't come out yet.
So there's zero smoke at the minute, just GG.
Yeah, this is a belting race. There's some interesting stats associated with the Swinton that quite surprised me. One is the poor record of those at the head of the weights. The top 7 ranked horses in the weights in the last 10 years. One winner from 73 minus 53 quid. And it's also not been a race for front runners, which surprised me, because like Dave, I associate Haydock with front runners, and I'm in flat mode, and certainly at the latest flat meeting that was the case. But they do tend to go a bit too quick in here, perhaps because it's usually on pretty quick ground at this time of year. So that's a worry for our champ, number 2 in the weights, and Gimme 5. And as Dave said, our champ looks to face competition for the lead. Now, he's run 2 absolutely fantastic races recently, finishing 6th in the county hurdle when up at the pace, and then finishing 3rd to Absurd when he had no right to stay in the first 3, because he's got involved in a ridiculously early battle for the early lead, set it up for those ridden more patiently, and he did really well to hold on for 3rd. You think he's going to run a big race, but probably when he's in a small field, maybe he needs to step up to graded company when he's going to face less rivals. So the angle is 8th or lower in the weights, age 7 or younger. That's found 7 winners from 90 bets in the last 10 years, profit of 50 quid. Helm Vine for Alan King, although backing Alan King hurdlers on Saturdays is not usually my thing. I thought he should go well. Big Boy Bobby, yet another Alan King runner was a possibility. Goblet of Fire was on the short list, but the one I'm going to go for, even though he's slightly older than I did, is Tapley, which is a horse I'd put up as an each-way bet at Aintree for that conditional and amateur riders handicap hurdle, where he ran an absolute blinder under Elizabeth Gale, finishing 6th of 17 at 50-1. Needless to say, I backed him 5 places at 100-1, so just lost out. But he raced close to the pace that day. And you look at the running styles of the first 3 home, towards rear, midfield, in rear. We've seen horses from that race who were ridden prominently come out and run well since. And so Tapley was close to the early pace than ideal. And he ran a fairly good race behind Goblet of Fire at Hereford last time when not given a great ride by Elizabeth Gale, finishing 5th, beating 5 and a bit lengths. And who's on this time around? Elizabeth Gale claiming 7th? Nope, Sean Bowen. So that caught my eye immediately, and I thought, how can he be sort of 12 to 1 plus with that jockey booking and get those last 2 runs? So I thought it's got a great chance. Hopefully Sean Bowen won't sit too close to the front end. I doubt he will, because it will be our champ, Gimme 5, amongst others who are going off like the clappers. He'll sit behind those in midfield, hopefully. And I thought he had a great chance. So, Tapley for me. Regretting not napping him now.
Oh, I set 14 to 1 as well. Top price with Bitano, Tapley with Sean Bowen booked to ride. Where did you ride Warsound when you won the Swinton?
3/4 way.
Three-quarters of the way, halfway. I've got a member of the audience here, my one and only member of the audience, who did, how many years ago was it? 10, 11 years ago?
Can we guess? Is it Sir AP McCoy?
It is. He's in my living room. Yeah, this is how rumours start, Mr. Mount.
Tell him to start studying the form instead of asking the cameraman.
More to the point. Where were you in the weights as well?
10-6.
10-6, so that was down enough. And that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, God, goodness me. Yeah, okay, there you go. Then, so again, falling into all the stats, a little bit of help there from the audience from all of that time ago. Warsound, his first ride as a professional as well, winning the Swinton. So nice chance for us to throw it back all the same. Right, we're going to leave Haydock there then and head back to the flat, the 150 at Lingfield. 0 to 80 handicap, 4-year-olds and over 10 furlongs. A little bit more that this time around at Lingfield at least, Andrew. So who wins?
Maybe Party Island, who was only 6th in this race last year, but finished a very close-up 6th and was repeatedly denied a clear run. Ran a fairly good race on the all-weather at Lingfield last time on Good Friday, finishing 6th of 16. Didn't have the best of draws that day. It was funny because most of the winter at Lingfield on the sand, you want to be drawn middle to high and at least race nowhere near that inside rail. They're completely prepared. They prepared the track completely differently, I should say. And the inside was favoured. And you look at that 16-runner apprentice handicap. The first 3 were drawn 3, 2, 4, and 16, which is sort of most unusual for Lingfield. And Party Island was drawn in stall 8, was always trapped towards the outside. I think in this smaller field, back on turf, and the races run well in previously, despite advancing years, I thought that last time out run gave him a good chance here. So, off a mark of his turf mark of 68, all of the run last time came off 74. I thought he could go well here.
Yeah, again, and nice price to boot, as my prices have just gone there before my eyes, but I will go back into that. Dave, who wins?
Well, I think the favourite wins is Fox Avatar, 5 to 2 with Batano at the time of recording. It was a race when I started to look at it, started to scroll down some of the names. I was thinking, ugh, classic class 4 on a Saturday. I don't really want to look at. But I remember Fox Avatar's comeback run a couple of weeks ago, where he was on the all-weather, pretty eye-catching, staying on, really keen on the way down to post as well. He wore a hood that time as well, which has been taken off this time. Now, when he ran on his very first start on a race course, obviously lots of horses can be like this, but he was very keen and green, I'd like to call him. So he did plenty wrong, looked like a bit of an eye catcher for next time out. Julia Blige went and won next time out. His run after, can't remember exactly what it was, I want to say it was Leicester, but he ran somewhere after and it was on soft ground and he looked to absolutely hate it. So this weekend, especially at Lingfield, where we have got like that Phillies trial where there's only 3 runners in there, it's obviously good to firm on the description, but it's obviously very quick as well. So the fact that he doesn't like soft ground, I'd put a line through that. The fact that he was so keen to post, needed the hood for his last run, I'd put a line through that because he clearly needs his first run, which means I'd also forgive him his very first run. So as far as I'm concerned, he's had 4 runs, but only one of them really counts. So he's unbeaten in my eyes. He's definitely going to take a step forward for that last run. He's 5 to 2, which I think is probably tight enough in a handicap like this because, he can be a bit keen. He's lacking a bit of experience. And there are a few horses in there that probably could go well. But I would be very surprised if Fox Avatar didn't finish the season as like a 90s rated horse personally. He comes in here off a 76. So even if I'm half right and he's maybe an 80s horse, I think he's got enough in hand to go and land this. And I don't think 5 to 2 for all of it is a bit of a skinny price. I don't think that's too bad a price.
No, 5-2 heading the way here, but as you say, yeah, nice enough price considering the profile that he brings into this race. 5-2 with Patano for Fox Avatar. Right, the 205 at Ascot now. This is a fillies handicap, a 0 to 100 contest, 3-year-olds and over a mile. Now we have got a pretty hot prospect heading the way here in the form of Rainbow's Edge at 2 to 1, 9 to 4 the remainder. So it is slightly condensed towards the head of the market. We don't have a massive field to go at, Dave, but who wins?
Yeah, it's like almost the theme of the day, isn't it? Again, like I say, quick ground, maybe a few of them. I mean, they should like this ground. They're flat horses, shouldn't they? But yeah, like a small enough race to go at. The one that was a dirty, filthy eye catcher last time was Arasaig. I was very fortunate. We've had it a few times on the weekend watch at the start of the season where I've had some nose, necks, short heads winners. And Crimson Alpha Cat was one of those last week. And Arasaig just got no run inside on the rail and was smashed in the betting as well. I'm sure Matty put him up in his column at 16s and he went off at about 7-2 or 4-1. But he just couldn't really be ridden in the finish because he couldn't get a gap on the rail. Now, it was eye-catching. They turned him around very quickly. That was a listed race. This is a handicap, but they obviously know that, that she's in very good form. My concern with her is she does seem to maybe want to have a rail or want to have less space and openness to run in. She's run at Ascot once before, and she was on the wrong side of the course. She finished third in her group, but she did wander about quite a lot. And then even when she came towards the middle, which is what the jockey asked her to do, she seemed to lug a little bit like she wanted to go back to the far rail. So I think she probably is one of those that is going to get smashed in the betting again. I think lots of people are going to see her as an eye catcher, and she could well just win this because she's in form, ready to go and win. Wasn't overly sold with Rainbow's Edge's run last time. I didn't think it looked like a horse that was worthy of a rating of 99, but happy to be proven wrong there. And I'm sure with John and Thaley Gosden making their comments about Kieran Schumacher and getting the best jockeys out there, those jockeys are going to have a bit of a point to prove to try and get some winners out there. But this is a race that not many favourites have won. And I know Arasaig's second favourite at the moment, but I can see that one getting backed in there. The one I thought was a glaringly obvious chance at a fair price as well, because Rainbow's Edge is, like you say, the sort of the hot prospect that's short enough. Arasaig's the fancy one that everyone's seen last week. The bookies are priced up short enough. But Bellarchi took this race last year. And I touched on Arasaig running at Royal Ascot in a big handicap where it was third in the group of 12 on that far side. Bellarchi ran in that race as well, but was sent off 50 to 1. She's got an £18 swing with Arasaig from that day. And as much as she was well beaten there, there's no way she doesn't reverse that form as far as I'm concerned on that. She's run at this track a few times as well, but obviously won this race last year. That was on her fourth start of the season. She's coming into this, which will be her fourth start of the season. She was on officially a £7 higher mark. Sean Bowen, not that one, the other one, was claiming £5. So it's a £2 higher mark respectively. But she was a ready winner that day. It was a bit of a tight field, pretty much the same as this is. I think there was maybe 7 runners last year, but it was nice and tightly boxed. She managed to get some cover. She went in front. As she was going through as well, the jockey that was in front struck her on the nose with a whip, not intentionally, but she still won fairly cosily. So the fact that she's now down to a lower mark, it's 12 months later and she is only a 4-year-old, and the fact that favourites in this race have got a bad record, I thought Bellarchi just looked grossly overpriced. But like I say with the Arasaig stuff, they turned her around this quickly for a reason, haven't they? And she may well just go and bolt up. But I wouldn't want to back her at the price. Bellarchi for me.
7 to 1 to retain her crown from last year. She say Shonda Bowen riding her last year, Sam James riding her this time around. So Bellarchi, a nice price to boot as well to go back and win this race again for Dave. Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, disappointing turnout. Almost 26 grand to the winner, 6 runners. Yeah. In the last 10 years, we've only once had no each way betting in this race. 3 places when we had 7 runners. It's normally sort of 8, 9, 10, 11. But yeah, that aside, Arasaig's got an obvious chance after being very unlucky, but he's priced accordingly. Zafire, I thought the jockey change was interesting. Holly Doyle riding instead of Tom Keeley-Marshall. Now, this race normally goes to a horse who's ridden patiently. The worry with Holly Doyle getting on for the first time, this one having been ridden prominently the last twice and being drawn 6 of 6, is that although the stall from the centre might want to make the running and try and come across to the rail, and that usually means you're there to be shot at. Bellarchi, I respect the case Dave's made. My concern is the form of the Grant Chua yard. There are 27 runners on turf this season, every single one of them beat. Although Bellarchi did run quite well, it was Nottingham finishing 3rd of 5 at 18 to 1 when all the rest of the horses in the yard were running poorly. But I just worry whether we're getting there a race or two too early. The one I've come down on the side of at a bigger price is Roaring Success. who hasn't had many opportunities on straight courses, particularly over a mile in handicap company. The 4 runs have produced a win over course and distance, second by a half a length over course and distance, second by half a length at Donny, and a 22nd of 24 over course and distance when rearing at the start and losing all chance. So Harry Charlton's roaring successfully.
Wow. Okay. And with some firms, it's the outsider of the field, but the canny and very shrewd Botano traders have roaring success in at 8-1. So in agreement with you in a large part there, Andrew, about roaring success. But yeah, disappointing turnout considering the price that's on offer. And we have a disappointing turnout in our next race as well at Lingfield, the 225 0-105 handicap. 4-year-olds and over a mile 3.5 furlongs, over 23 grand to the winner for this one. But we only have the 5 runners, and of course, Andrew, earlier on this week there was even the consideration that they might have switched the races at Lingfield to the all weather because they hadn't been able to water for so long. So we're expecting quick conditions, but as Dave said there, these are flat horses, they kind of want quick conditions ideally.
Yeah, you'd think so. Don't be afraid of the word firm appearing in the going. But, anyway, yeah, this race I thought was fairly straightforward. I really like the claims of Candyman Stan, whose record left-handed, 2 wins from 2 starts. One of those coming by 9 lengths on the all-weather here, the other one by 5 lengths at Brighton. So the way that she races, she doesn't seem to like soft going, doesn't seem entirely suited by racing right-handed, having been beaten at Leicester and Kempton. So I thought, given those 2 left-handed runs have produced 2 wins by a combined margin of 14 lengths, I thought staying this way round was the key to him. So I'll go Candyman Stan.
Candyman Stan at 5-4 heading the way in this one to back up that success from last time out. Dave.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from Candyman Stan. £7 probably won't be enough to stop him, you'd think. And even if this was a deeper race, you'd fancy him to have a bit of a chance. But the fact that it is a smaller field and he is probably tight enough, as much as I don't mind getting stuck into a short one. I think, what is he, 11-8, 5-4-ish? I did like Power of Destiny's run a couple of starts ago, but I was hoping to see her in a fillies handicap rather than a race like this. The fact that it is a smaller field, she might kind of get away with it, but I thought she looked to have a bit of a chance. She's priced up on that, like the fact that she has got a chance from the penultimate run. But I just think when she goes up against the boys, maybe she doesn't seem to run up to her level. So with the fact that Candyman stands short and Power of Destiny might be a little bit shorter than she should be, I know Ryan Moore's going to ride for Richard Hughes anyway, but I found it interesting that he's now riding Vice President on his 2nd start in a handicap, who's now dropping back down in trip over half a mile. The horse was with Aidan O'Brien, so it's, you're not going to expect much improvement when they're leaving that yard, but did look like a nice enough horse for the free starts for Aidan O'Brien. Just for whatever reason, they didn't want to keep the horse around. The run over 2 miles, it was just his first start for the yard. I feel like it looked like a bit of a fact-finding mission, but the fact that it's such a big difference in the trip, it had been running over 10 furlongs before for Aidan O'Brien in his last couple of starts. It's dropped back down now to just under 1.5 miles, and they tried it over 2 miles on its handicap debut. I'm definitely reading too much into it, but I feel like they knew it was a prep run. They thought if we run him over the right sort of trip, he might still get away with it, and then we blow a bit of a mark. Whereas if you run him over a trip that's way too far, then maybe when we drop him back the 2nd time up will be the time to get him. And the fact that Ryan Moore's on him, I know he's at Lingfield, and like I say, we'd probably be riding for Richard Hughes anyway, but he wasn't on him on that handicap debut. So just all things considered, at the prices for a selection on a TV race, I would probably just about side with Vice President, but there's every chance that Candyman Stan just bolts up, isn't there?
Yeah, could well do. Candyman Stan heading the way at 5-4, but at 19-5, it is about Vice President with Botano. Love these newfangled prices. They're very entertaining, aren't they? But yeah, 19-5 about Vice President there in the 225 at Lingers. Right, back to Ascot now. And we have a whole 19 runners to go at in this. This is the Victoria Cup Heritage Handicap, 4-year-olds and over 7 furlongs. 7 furlong specialists to the board, which are my absolute favourite specialists as well. Kirat, 11-2 heading the way, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, you should tell us who's going to win it then if this is your favourite specialist subject.
Well, I have got a selection, but I will leave you all in suspense until then.
Oh, perfect. Well, I think like 4-year-olds have got the best strike rate in this race. Could be, I don't think I'm wrong on that. I think I'm right.
Nope.
Did check it before, but like you probably do want a bit of a younger horse because it's the start of the season, isn't it? There's a few of them that have been handicapped. They're probably going to go on to bigger and better things. So I do respect the chances of some of them towards the front of the market. I'm just getting a bit annoyed with horses like Roy de France. I don't feel like he seems to be actually getting on with it in the finish. There's one horse that I've had like a long affinity with, and I feel like he might start to be the new Summergand. He's only 7, so we've got a few more years until I get off this train. But Popmaster, I just, in these types of contests, I can't believe the price that is. Like, you could easily make him half the price, and you could still say that I think it's a fair enough price about him. He's been eye-catching the last couple of times. Last time wasn't as eye-catching as the time before, but last time he was running well behind Roi de France. We know what style of running this horse gets. Sometimes he's got a bit more of a going day than not. But he ran in this race twice. 12 months ago, he ran behind the Wizard of Eye. I'm sure Andrew would have tipped up Wizard of Eye to win this one. He was under Brandon Wilkie, claiming £5. He was only beaten 2 and a bit lengths off a mark of 109. So effectively, with the claim, he was running off a 104. He's now all the way down to 98. He's got Jack Doherty's claim of £3 on it. So there's, whatever way you want to say whether people are worth their pounds or whatever they're not, he's like at least £7 better off than he was last year. He's probably closer to being like £10 better off than last year. As much as he's been running on the all-weather, they've kept him busy over the winter, which they hadn't done previously when they came for tilts in this race, which might have been the difference between him winning and like I say, finishing close up last year. I mean, the first time he ran it, I think he was maybe under Holly Doll. He just got bad, but that's a different story. The fact that they've kept him running, he's, I think 6 of his last 7 starts have been RPRs of 103 all the way up to 109. Like I say, his mark's 98, and I know they're just someone else's opinion of figures, but when you've got that many figures that are so much higher than his current mark, like I say, last year he was running off of marks in the hundreds in these handicaps, and he was going close in races as well. He just looks ridiculously well treated at a track where he runs it really well as well. He's raced at Ascot a few times, but he's good to firm record as well. We touched on the ground and like a couple of the races earlier. He's raced from good to firm 8 times. It's produced 1 win. It's had 4 seconds for him and a third. All those places, so the seconds and the third, he was beaten inside a length. He's had a couple of runs on good to firm at this trip. Off 106 when he was only a neck second to Quinault. So that was at this trip and on good to firm ground. And then he was 2 lengths behind Tiber Flow in that Group 2 at Newbury. So, I mean, he's just got everything in his favour, I think, to be putting in a bold show. I know it's a big field handicap. I know they're going to need bits of luck in there, but you can make cases for lots of horses in it. But I think Popmaster is definitely the easiest one to make the strongest case for. I will just mention one other horse because there's 19 runners, but I don't think I'll play him. I was toying with it, but the more I wrote about him, the less I liked him. It's English Oak for Ed Walker, who packed up, didn't he, in the Buckingham Palace Stakes last year, but I've got a feeling they might be trying to get his mark back down for another repeat tilt in there. He was off a £7 lower mark in that race when he beat Billy Joe last year, and he would have won it if they gave him another £7 on his back easily. That was on good to firm ground, though. Obviously, it's a course and distance win, so it is good, but when they tried him in better class races, they ran him in that race behind Tiber Flow in the Hungerford Stakes. He was 3 lengths behind Popmaster that day. They were running off of levels. And obviously now Popmaster being rated 98 and English Oak being 96, he's giving him £8 plus there's that £3 claim. The booking of William Buick did take my eye for English Oak, but like I say, the more I looked into it, the more I just thought Popmaster's going to win this.
You are on the Ed Walker bandwagon, though, but have been put off English Oak then the more that you've looked at him. Popmaster leading the way then for Dave, and he is a top price with Batano at 14 to 1 as well. Andrew, who'd you like?
Yeah, Dave makes a great case, though I have to take issue with his pronunciation. It's Popmaster, and which incidentally will be excellent entertainment on ITV Saturday night. Anton Deck for live from the conclave. So there's your Alan Partridge style TV.
Oh, that would be the most Partridge.
Yeah, call my agent to discuss. Yeah, the worry with Popmaster is stall 1 of 19. The stalls are in the centre, but the runners in stalls 1 to 7 are all hold-up horses. All the pace is high, so I think they're going to come across to the stand rail here, which could leave him a little bit exposed. But he does love the track. Ed Walker's flying, and you know, maybe that should ensure a clear run though as well. But he will need the front runners to come back to him. Of the rest, I love Mayal for Steph Holmeshead. Big eye catcher in the Spring Mile at Doncaster when doing best of those ridden prominently into the headwind. Looked sure to win at 7.5 furlongs, but didn't quite see it out. That was his only defeat in handicap company for his last 6 starts. He's 5 from 5 in 7 furlong handicaps. He's got stall 19 of 19. I don't think he will lead like at Haydock last time when he took a lead from Gorak. I think £10, the Charlton horse from stall 16 will come across and lead. Maya will sit second. I think it's all going to transpire Stan's side. I think if you're drawn low, you might struggle. Roy de France looks to have a good draw in my view in 18 of 19, but I just don't like the horse on the balance of his turf form. Just, one short price maiden win from 4 starts. Silver Sword, I think, is better going left-handed. Although with a left-hand rail against him in stall 17, he might run a race. Did catch the eye in the Spring Cup at Newbury when the race wasn't run to suit. But the one I've come down on the side of is Metal Merchant from stall 15 for Jack Shannon. You back all Shannon's horses aged 4 or older, you make a profit. And Metal Merchant does like it here. His course form is on the straight track is pretty good. He was 14th of 29 at Docklands in the 2023 Britannia, but actually did 5th best on the wrong side of the track, went 66 to 1. He's won another of those straight track Ascot races. He was 7th of 20 in last year's Hunt Cup, the Royal one, not the first one, doing second best of his group. And he's only run over course and distance. He finished 4th of 18 when they didn't go fast enough for him up front. He only got beaten a length. So given his love of this track, I thought I'd put him up each way, Metal Merchant.
12 to 1 Metal Merchant, but of course you did have the good shout out for my out as well.
Just a quick mention for No Retreat, probably not best drawn in stall 4, but first run for George Scott. Because remember, the Wizard of Eye was first run for the yard when winning this under an amazing John Mark Quandle ride last year.
Yeah, definitely. So it was, wasn't it? A good shout out for my out as well. 9 to 1 top price with Batano as well, but Metal Merchant 12 to 1. The main play then for Andrew. Now, I did say that I had a selection in this race, and it's at 9 to 1 now. Actually, is £10. A horse that I don't think either of you two have mentioned here for Harry Charlton. Trevor Whelan taking the ride as well. We talk about 7 furlong specialists. This horse has only run over 7 furlongs in his career so far. He is 4 from 6 in his career, 2 from 2 on the all-weather. So for all that he hasn't raced at Ascot before, I'm hoping that his form is going to be able to translate to the Ascot turf here. And he's not going to mind the quick conditions either. The only real disappointment of his entire career, I know he finished 4th at 50 to 1 on his debut. That was the only other time he didn't win, apart from when he went to Doncaster in September of last year. 7 furlong soft ground handicap, 11 to 4 favourite, and he disappointed in that one. So I'm hoping that the soft ground was just against him there. And Dave, as you said, in terms of the age ratings or the age and the ratings for this race, the Wizard of Eye 5-year-old last year, Rebel Territory 5-year-old, Vapatino 4-year-old, River Nymph 4-year-old, Kate Byron 5-year-old, Ripple 4-year-old. In terms of the ratings, Ripple is the only one I'm willing to admit. The rest of them are all 95 to 103 rated, so he falls perfectly into that as well. I hope they don't make all like they did last year. I don't mind really where they're ridden in this race, but ideally taking a lead, as we know, is going to be pretty optimal. So I hope they revert to the previous tactics for £10 rather than last time out trying to make all, because I feel that he could just set it up quite nicely for something to come from behind. But Soul 16 is a good one, and a win last time out, and just a 1 run coming into this race. Further positives, hopefully, for £10. Right, we're going to switch to Lingfield now for the 3 o'clock. The listed Lingfield Derby Trial Stakes for the 3-year-olds over a mile, 3.5 furlongs in this one, and no surprise to anyone. Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien heading the betting with Puppet Master here, Andrew.
Yeah, tricky one, because you look at Puppet Master, you think, oh, Aidan O'Brien, Derby Trial, mopping them up this week. But then you look at the Royal Lodge form last year when he was 4th to Wimbledon Hawkeye, you think that race is absolutely rubbish in terms of the way it worked out. So, but then you look at the last run, that's 4th at Leopardstown to Delacroix. And the Lambourne, who finished 2nd, has won at Chester this week, and it paid to be on the front end that day. The 2 who cut out the running finished 1st and 3rd. Lambourne sat in 3rd place and eventually finished 2nd. And Puppet Master was towards the rear, kept on. He was the stable 2nd string that day. It was probably a prep for this. He won 2nd time out last term. So despite the disappointing for the way the Royal Lodges worked out, I think I'll have to go for Puppet Master here. I thought it was a coin toss. Yeah, we thought it was a coin toss. We're getting 11 to 8 or 6 to 4 about a coin toss.
Yeah, exactly that. Then, yeah, he is 6'4" Butano heading the way, Puppet Master. Dave.
Yeah, it's annoying this one because it took ages to confirm who was going to ride it, which I would always assume means that they took some time to think about it. Ryan Moore obviously did get jocked up on Popmaster. I wanted him on Stay True, really, because I feel like that horse just having the one run, you'd expect him to have to take a big step forward to land a race like this. But if Ryan Moore had the confidence he could do it, I'd have the confidence too. And when the bookies reformed this market at final declarations, they just went 15 to 8 the pair, waited for Ryan Moore to jock up. And then, so it depends which firms you're looking at, but Popmaster's as short as 11 to 8, like Andrew said, for the coin toss. Stay True's as big as 3 to 1 in places. So there's a massive discrepancy in prices purely because of the fact that Ryan Moore's ridden him. I would still probably side with the fact that Ryan Moore knows far more than I would do about any of the horses at Ballydoyle. So, like, from a betting perspective, I would probably sit this one out if I was not. I know no one's forced to it, but the fact that Stay True is 3 to 1, like it's tempting enough at the price that he's probably overpriced just because Ryan Moore's on the other one. Popmaster is a little bit exposed, like Andrew said, that Royal Lodge form is pants, but as much as this is a Derby trial stakes and we'd like to think that these are absolute weapons of horses, it is ultimately just a listed race. He's rated 105. It might just take a horse that runs to about 100 to win this. I cannot see any of these. We'll click this up. Cannot see any of these doing anything in an actual Derby throughout this year, throughout this season. So, yeah, I probably would just side with Stay True as a token bet because of the prices, but Popmaster will probably win. So well done, Andrew.
Well done. Yeah, 6-4 Popmaster heading the way. Ryan Moore is taking the ride on that Ballydoyle horse. Right, we're going to switch back to Ascot now for the 3:15 0 to 90 handicap, 4-year odds and over a Marvel. Turquino it is who's bidding to uphold his unbeaten record, 2 from 2 so far. Now going on the turf, Dave. So does he go 3 from 3?
Yes, he does. I like Turquino. I thought his run last time was actually very impressive. It was one of those that at the time when he's a short price favourite, I can't remember how short he was, but he was definitely odds on. He'd only just won. It's the type of performance that I thought next time out people would look at the form book and see an odds on poke who's just managed to grind out a win against another horse. But the front two in that race pulled well clear of everything else. Callum Shepherd was riding Turquino that day as well. And he looked to me in the whole way in the finish like there was no doubt that he was going to win the race. And he was getting after him. But it was almost a case of, well, what's this next to me? I'm supposed to be like slamming this field. And he always knew he was going to get there, but he almost waited until he really, really, really asked him. And when he did really ask him at the line, he just sort of quickened away, and then he sort of pulled him up after, but the horse still wanted to go. So I think there was loads more left in him. He was giving the runner-up £7 that day as well. Now that runner-up is rated 77, or was rated 77. Got jocked up by Ryan Moore next time out in a handicap. Only just got touched off. I think only got beaten a nose or a short head, but has gone up £3 for that. So, like I say, it doesn't always work up quite as literally as this, but I'd say that the runner-up has definitely franked the form from the race. I'd say Turquino is at least worthy of his rating of 86, if not he's well beyond that. He has only had the 2 starts as well, and now Oisin Murphy's been jocked up to ride him. It just looks like he's clearly going to be much better than his mark. So I think he's got a proper chance in it. I know he's again like short enough towards the front of the market, but I would say at the price that he is, he's still a good price for a bet on Saturday. I think he would be one of the stronger fancies in all these competitive handicaps as well. But obviously there are, with everything, there's risks attached on there. He is a little bit unexposed, but Oisin will get him home.
11-4 Turquino under Oisin Murphy for Andrew Boulding. 11-4 with Betano. Andrew.
Yeah, the only reservation with Turquino is the draw. Stalls 1 to 3. Got a shocking record in 1.5 handicaps at Ascot. Even in fields of this size, in this race, it 1 from 30 in the past 10 years. That was Luganini, who won off 93 and then was rated in the hundreds later on. Yeah, Oisin Murphy will sort of know to get him off the rail. I assume it was a tricky one. The one I did look at, given the good record of 4-year-olds who are making their seasonal reappearance in this race, it was Houston for Richard Hannon, who was bombed out at Newbury on his final start last year, but that was on heavy going. His earlier 10 furlong second at the same track on good to firm ground would give him a chance. He's shown some form when fresh before. So, yeah, it was around about 12-14 to 1, I think. Coming out of stall 5, I'll go Houston.
Houston, yeah, it is at 14-1 top price with Botano as well. Right, our final scheduled race is for 3:35 at Lingfield. This is the Group 3 Chartwell Filly Stakes, 3-year-olds and over 7 furlongs. My absolute favourite trip of them all. Now, Cathedral, beautifully named, is heading the way in this one at 2-1 with Botano, Andrew.
Yeah, tricky race this, and even though we've only got 6 runners, the draw could play an impact because on fast ground at Lingfield, on the straight course on turf, it's going to be a case of the rush for the rail and who can get there first. We've seen some good horses beaten in this from low draws previously. Go back to 2017, there were 11 runners. The first 3 were drawn 11, 3, and 10. And the runner-up was from stall 3 was Evans' favourite, Quemar, trained by Rouget, who won the Duke Cambridge Stakes at Royal Ascot next time out. So I think it's a case of who's going to lead on that rail. That's probably going to be Spiritual for the Gostons. Rab Havlin riding. I did look at his stats on the straight course here at Lingfield. It's not good. 9 from 159. 5.5% strike rate and a loss of over 115 quid to a £1 level stake. So I was thinking that he might not be fully aware that you've got to be hard up against the fence. Might end up letting stall 6 of 6 Jabara for Roger Varian sneak up his inside. Now, Jabara's last 4 turf runs in Britain have produced 3 wins and a second in the Group 1 Falmouth Stakes. So starting off in Group 3 company from the best of the draw, as long as SDS doesn't lose his brains and decide to sort of get into a battle for the early lead with Spiritual, I think he can just track on the rail and just wait for the gap to appear, which inevitably will when Rab Havlin's riding here.
Which probably will do anyway. Yeah, so Jabara then to take that lead 9-4 under SDS. Dave.
Yeah, I do like the chance of Jabara as well. And you've got to think she actually is a Group 3 winner because she had it taken away, didn't she, at Goodwood? Rightly so, though, because she cut up the runner-up in the finish. What I find interesting with Jabara, though, is like I say, that bit of form looks all right. But then you look at Ziggy's Dream that was only 3/4 of a length behind, and Ziggy's Dream's a 25-1 poking here. So with Jabara being 9-4, literally on that one line of form, which is very risky to take at face value, Ziggy's Dream looks grossly overpriced. But I wonder whether it just makes that Goodwood run not maybe look as good, and the fact that the jockey did have to cut across to get the finish in there maybe exposes the level that the horse is. Now I know this, it is a Group 3, but you look at the ratings of some of the horses in here: 106 for Cathedral, 107 for Jabara, 107 for Spiritual, 107 for Great Generation, 105 for Fair Angelica. And again, I know they're just someone's opinions, but it is a decent enough standard for a Group 3, I'd say. The one that I did think was sort of hard to get away from is Cathedral, because she's getting the weight for age allowance. She's only had the couple of starts as well, so she's sort of less exposed than some of the other runners. If you go back to her So Sharp Stakes, that's easy for you to say, it maybe looked questionable with the winner being a big price, but Flight was back in third that day, and we've just seen her run second in 1,000 guineas. She won on debut at this track as well, Cathedral, albeit it was over 6 furlongs. So she's ticking quite a few boxes for a horse that's only had a couple of runs on a race course. I know her run over 6 furlongs was on the all-weather here, but it's still coming to Lingfield, isn't it? I know it's not the exact same thing, but I'm trying to build a positive case for her nonetheless. I think she obviously does lack the experience that some of these do, and being the fact that it is her third run, that might be the thing that catches her out. But she definitely deserves to be favourite on this, and I think the 2-1 about her is probably about fair.
Yeah, 2-1 fair. Like I say, it's so tricky to weigh up, really, isn't it? Then for Cathedral on her 3-year-old debut, haven't seen her for 211 days, and who really knows exactly what she was than last year and if she's taken the step forwards this time around. But of course, we're going to do an awful lot of learning on Saturday. Right, Dave, back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else? Feel like we've covered a heck of a lot there.
Yeah, we have. So there's nothing from me from anywhere else. Although I will just quickly say, Greyhound Derby kicks off today. So people that are watching this on the Thursday, there's first round heat starting tonight. People watching it on Friday, there's first round heat starting tonight. People watching it Saturday, there's first round heat starting tonight. 3 days of the first round heat. It's all on YouTube on Gone to the Dogs Live. They're putting some proper coverage in. So love the dogs, watch the dogs.
Definitely so. We echo that for sure. Andrew, anything from anywhere else? Horses, dogs, front, whichever.
Yeah, I'll stick with horses. The 1 o'clock at Haydock is the long distance handicap hurdle over 3 miles. It's been a big advantage to have had a run at the Cheltenham April meeting. Six of the last 10 winners came from that meeting. You backed all 37 qualifiers, you'd have made 35 quid. Those who finished in the top four at that Cheltenham meeting, 5 from 25 plus £42. Now, there's 3 runners who finished first, second, fourth in the 3-mile handicap hurdle at that meeting. Long Draw for Ollie Murphy, Harbour Lake, and My Bobby Dazzler. And Zane Knights was worth mentioning as well. He won this race last year and he was 5th in that race. So I think it's between those runners. And I shall back Long Draw, but My Bobby Dazzler was second by a head to Zane Knights in this race last year. He's £4 lower, and on his second run after a wind operation, he could find some more improvement. So, yeah, Long Draw and My Bobby Dazzler in that race. And finally, the 5 o'clock at Ascot. I really wanted to back Northcliffe, but I'm worried about. He clocked an amazing time when winning at Brighton last time to make it 2 from 2 since advisors, I think. But he's changed yards since, and he's gone to a trainer, Thomas Faulkner, who's got a great record on the all-weather, but he's 0 from 44 with his turf runners, flat and jumps. So from Storm 1, it's just a watching brief for him. But keep an eye on Northcliffe for the future.
In that 5 o'clock at Ascot. Right, Andrew, back to you, please, for your nap.
I've gone Metal Merchant in the Victoria Cup. I like the draw, I like his course form, and I like the form of the yard with their older horses.
Nicely done, Dave.
I mean, I still haven't really thought about my nap. Got too late in the show, innit? It would
Perhaps
be
in the toaster 307.
it could be, couldn't it? It would be between Turquino and Fox Avatar as well. I was just hugely impressed with what Turquino did on his last run with that runner-up sort of frank in the form. So Turquino will take nap status from me this week.
Okay, Turquino it is then to uphold that unbeaten record. And I'm going to take Andrew on for my nap in the Victoria Cup. I'm going to go at £10 to hopefully back up his own success from
What are you having £10 on?
£10 on £10. There you go. Giving the stake away and everything there. At 9 to 1, I gladly would take that though all day long for £10. So Andrew and I butting heads, Dave going elsewhere. But that is everything from us on this week's show. So a big thank you to Andrew and to Dave for all of their hard work. A big thank you to you for watching and to our sponsors, Betano. And we'll speak to you again next week.